Hey everybody.
Welcome to our, it's our last video in the early literacy series.
Yeah, and we're going to go over what we've already learned, and if you want to go back and look, you can go back and look at the recordings of what we've done already. But we're going to go over all the steps of early literacy and add one new one to it. So we'll have 6 by the end of this session. So the first thing we went over was print motivation. Then we did print awareness. Next was letter knowledge. Then we did vocabulary. The last one was narrative skills. And today we're going to do phonological awareness. I'm going to tell them what that is.
Yeah, that's a big word that sounds scary, phonological. But it's not as scary as it sounds. So phonological awareness skills are important in order to develop good reading skills. Having good phonological awareness skills means that a child is able to manipulate sounds and words and play with the sounds in words. So for example, a teacher or a speech pathologist might ask a child to break the word cat down into individual sounds. So they could break down cat to k, a, t, being able to manipulate and play with the sounds in words. That's phonological awareness.
And that's so important, and we do it today, even as adults. We see big words or words we haven't seen before, and that's the way we sound out words. That's the way we learn them. So phonological awareness includes the following skills, and we're going to talk about these things, and then we're going to kind of demonstrate it. So one of the things you do is recognize when words rhyme, and then if you're working with a child, you might want to say, do cat and shoe rhyme? And kids are going to love that. They love when you do things wrong. So they're going to say, no, cat and shoe don't rhyme. Well, what rhymes with cat? And so you make a game out of it. And this is a really good way for kids to learn rhyming words. You could keep cat and bat and hat and sat. That could go on for days. So then the next thing is segmentation of words and sentences. So an easy way to do that is for kids to learn syllables and how each word has a sound, have them clap each segment in a sentence. So clap for each word you hear in the sentence, the dog is furry. So you would do this with a child. The dog is furry. So that's what? 4, the dog is furry. So that's 4 words. Then blending syllables. I'm going to say parts of the word. Tell me what the word is. So I'm going to say panda. So what's the word?
Panda.
Panda. And you can do that with all kinds of words. And you're holding their attention. They're listening to you. You're holding their attention, and they're catching on to what you say. And I think this is really important. Segmentation of syllables. So sounding out a word and learning how many syllables it has. I know you remember that when you were in school. But if you get them to clap out a syllable, so you're going to clap out how many syllables in the word refrigerator? Refrigerator. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how you would clap out refrigerator. And it gives them sort of a rhythm to the words, so that it makes it easier for the children to learn the words, and adults. Leave out a syllable, delete a syllable. Say the word strawberry. And now say it without the word straw. So what do you have?
Berry.
Very good. You're a good student, Carla. Identifying sounds and words. What sound do you hear at the end of the word tulip? What sound do you hear? And have the child say that. And it's really important when you're doing this with them, make sure you say the sounds clearly and enunciate them well, because that may be how you hear or identify if a child has maybe a hearing issue or something, if they don't hear all of the sounds in the words.
And that's one of those important ones, because what sound do you hear at the end? I look at that word, I hear, now I know. P makes p. Those are those very,
Exactly.
I think that's a super important one for learning how phonics, how to sound out words.
Identifying sounds and words. Okay, we just did that. What do you hear at the sound of end of the word tulip? How about blending sounds? Put these sounds together to make the word door. So what sounds will you need to make the word door? So you need duh, o, ruh. D-O-R. That's kind of hard because it's a ooh,
Yeah.
ooh and o. But anyway, you're identifying each sound in a word, so a child can identify each sound in the word. And sometimes when kids have issues with hearing or maybe early learning disabilities, they may not hear all of these sounds, or they may not process all of these sounds. So it's a good idea to practice these things with the kids, and if you notice something, work a little harder with them, and then that may be an identifying thing where they may need a little bit more help in these areas. Segmentations of sounds. Tell me each sound that you hear in the word cat. K, k, ah, ah, t, t, cat. And have the child do the same thing. And you can do that with all kinds of words. Deletion of sounds. I'm going to say the word chair, and I'm going to leave out the sound ch. And what word do I have? So chair, and I'm going to leave out ch. What's the word? Air. Carla listens really well.
I'm going to be reading any day
You
now.
will. Addition of sounds. Say cook. Now end it with a long E sound at the end. So that would be cook, E, cookie. And then manipulate sounds, and I know you probably do this already with kids when you're learning to read. So change the S in sad to a D. And what word do you have? You had sad, you took the S off, and you've added a D. What's the word?
Dad.
So you can do that with all kinds of words. And these activities right here make it like a game and make it like a fun activity. But every time you do something like this with children who are early learners, early readers, you're helping strengthen their reading skills.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to give you some examples of how to do these things in the form of a game or an activity to make it a little more fun, a little bit more manageable. So play traditional hand clapping games such as Miss Mary Mac, Patty Cake. Those are really important because it's teaching clapping and rhythm with words. So Patty Cake, Miss Mary Mac, I'm sure there's others, but those are the two that, yeah.
And we have books here at the library that'll teach you those clapping games. We know some websites you can go to help you find those things if you're looking to do those with your children, grandchildren.
So there are a lot of these activities deal with rhyming words, and I think rhyming words and recognizing rhyming words is probably the first thing a child does with phonological awareness. It's the first one that really clicks in their head, or at least it did for my kids. So get a piece of paper and some crayons or something, and have them draw a picture of a sentence that has rhyming words. Like, Dad is glad. Can you draw Dad is glad? How about a frog sat on a log? So it's fun because they're drawing things that you're saying, but then you can talk about how those words rhyme and sound the same. And then another thing with rhyming words, so give your child 4 words and only 3 of them rhyme, and see if they can pick out the one that doesn't. So let's say bell, box, fell, and tell. Which one is different? See if box, exactly. Good job, Miss Tammy. So see if they can pick out the word that does not rhyme. So when you're reading books to your child that contain rhyming words, emphasize the rhyming words as you read. And Dr. Seuss has a lot of great rhyming books. All the Carmel Wilson books also have a good rhyme scheme. There's always rhymes at the end of the lines of those, and those are really fun books. So then after you read the book, maybe ask your kid, do you remember any of the rhyming words? See how many they can remember. And this is a fun one. We're moving on from rhyming, but when you're sitting at the kitchen table, play telephone. I know I always love to play telephone, or we call it gossip sometimes too, but think of just a short something, a few sentences, whisper it to one, and then you whisper it around the table, and then the last person says it, because that's really teaching you to really listen to all the sounds. And it's a funny game because it never ends up, as anything close to what it started.
That's what's funny about it.
So it's fun. It feels like we're just having fun. It doesn't feel like we're learning, but we are. So that's important. So when you're riding in the car, say a sentence to your child, but leave the last word blank and see if they can add a rhyming word to finish it. So say, I see a dog on a, what's a word that could rhyme?
Hog.
You see a dog on a hog. That would be a sight, yes. But it does rhyme. It could be log. It could be so many things, yes. And then tap out individual words and sentences. Miss Tammy talked about that. So clapping them out, tapping them out, whatever's easiest for you. So the sun is shining. The sun is shining. How many words are in that sentence? The sun is shining. 4 words. And once they get to do that well, you can then tap out the syllables. So shining, that's 2 syllables. So once you can tap out the words, you can even break it down further and tap out the syllables. You can clap it, tap it, stomp it, anything to make it fun, or change it up just so it doesn't seem like learning. We're just playing a game and it's fun. Kids learn best when they feel like they're playing. It engages more of their brain. They're learning, they're playing, they're using their body, they're using more senses. So it's the best way to learn.
It's also a really good thing to interact with the children like that. It's a relaxed time, usually in the evening when you're in the car, those kinds of things. It's not like school. It's a fun, they don't even realize they're learning. Like Carla said, they're just playing a game. They're playing a fun game and they'll want to do it again. And you're building on that repetition that they've learned the first time. And they could even teach that to the younger siblings or these are things that anybody can do. Grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, just fun little games that make kids aware. And that's what reading's all about.
It's kind of like when you sneak vegetables into their food, like we're sneaking learning into the fun. So we're not going to sit down and say, hey buddy, you want to work on phonological awareness? Because they don't. But they don't even know what that means. Adults don't even know what phonological awareness means. It's a very scary sounding phrase that I know when I first heard it, it blew through my mind. I just thought, I don't know what that means. Move on, it sounds complicated. It's not complicated, but it's just a big word.
It's more, the word itself is more complicated than the
See how many syllables
premise.
that's phonological.
You can clap it out.
Phonological. It's a big word. Yeah.
But
yeah.
And do these things with your children. I mean, you're helping the teachers, you're helping the kids. Anything you can do at home to help. And like I said, we have tons of Dr. Seuss. Any branch can help you find books that have rhyming words. And that's basically an easy way for kids to learn to read. Because early learning is a lot of memorization, a lot of memory of sounds and those kinds of things. And the more you can do to get children ready, the better it is. So I really enjoy doing this with you guys. And if you have any suggestions or ideas.
Definitely. If you have more questions about early literacy, let us know in the comments below. We're happy to do more videos about this, but also if there's another topic you would like us to cover. I mean, this was on early literacy. We're happy to cover something else about that, but we also work with older children, teens, anything. If you have some literacy series, some questions that you would like us to cover, let us know. We're glad to do it.
You know, nothing like global warming or anything like that. Just keep it childlike. So thank you. We've really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Bye, guys.